Did you know that nearly every medical student today owes a debt of gratitude to a scandalous practice from the 18th century? Before you cringe or scroll away, let me tell you about the man who secretly revolutionized medical education in London through grave robbing. Yes, you heard that right. Grave robbing. This is the story of John Hunter, the brilliant yet controversial figure often called the father of modern surgery. And by the end of this, you'll never look at medical breakthroughs the same way again. In the 18th century, medicine was a field fraught with uncertainty and, frankly, a lot of guesswork. Sure, there were surgeons and doctors, but their tools were limited, their understanding of the human body even more so. At the heart of the problem was this: dissecting human cadavers was frowned upon, both by society and, in many cases, by the law. Knowledge of anatomy was rudimentary, and medical practitioners relied on inaccurate texts, often written centuries earlier. Enter John Hunter. Born in 1728 in Scotland, Hunter's journey into medicine was anything but straightforward. As a young man, he had little direction until his older brother William, an established anatomist, invited him to London to assist in his medical school. It was there that John found his calling: anatomy, and not just textbooks or second-hand accounts. He craved the real thing. He wanted to expose the mysteries of the human body, quite literally. But how do you teach anatomy without bodies to study? You might say, well, hospitals, unclaimed corpses. That would have made sense if such practices were actually legal at the time. But society viewed dissection as desecration, granting dead bodies more sanctity than the living. This is how John Hunter found himself in collaboration with some of the most shadowy figures of 18th century London, the resurrection men, professional grave robbers. These men would dig up freshly buried bodies and sell them to anatomists like Hunter. In his relentless pursuit of knowledge, Hunter was willing to blur the ethical and legal lines. Before you judge too harshly, let's look closer at what he accomplished, all because of this morally grey practice. You see, Hunter wasn't just another anatomist. He was a scientist to his core, a meticulous observer and experimenter. He didn't just dissect, he recorded everything, meaning his work formed the basis for a revolution in medical understanding. There wasn't one major system in the human body that John Hunter didn't examine. From the muscular system to the vascular, his detailed drawings and notes were generations ahead of his time. He even published treatises, some of which became foundational texts in modern surgery. And it wasn't just humans Hunter was interested in. His anatomical studies extended into the animal kingdom. Believe it or not, he was so curious about comparative anatomy that he kept a zoo of exotic animals in his estate. He dissected creatures like kangaroos, zebras, and even giraffes to deepen his understanding of form and function. But before you think this is just a charming, eccentric tale, know this: his life wasn't without controversy, even aside from the grave robbing. One particularly shocking event involves what historians now call the Irish Giant. Charles Byrne, an Irishman afflicted with acromegaly, a condition causing abnormal growth, stood nearly 8 feet tall and attracted attention across Britain. When Charles died at 22, rumor has it he begged his friends to bury him at sea to avoid ending up in Hunter's collection. Did John abide by this? Of course not. Using bribes and persuasions, Hunter acquired the giant's body anyway. His skeleton remains on display to this day in London's Hunterian Museum, though debates about its ethical implications continue. So, why does any of this matter? It matters because modern surgery traces its precision and depth of understanding directly back to pioneers like John Hunter. His observations on tumors led to some of the earliest forms of cancer surgery. He was among the first to recognize that aneurysms could be treated by tying off blood vessels surgically rather than amputating limbs. And yes, the techniques he pioneered evolved into vascular surgeries practiced today. But Hunter's obsession with unlocking the secrets of the human body came at a personal cost. His reputation was tarnished by the morally dubious methods he employed, and he often worked in secrecy, fearing prosecution. Yet those very secrets saved lives and formed the foundation for advancements humanity reaps the benefits of today. One tale that captures Hunter's character perfectly is his work on the Achilles tendon. To study it, he purposely hoisted himself into painful positions to observe the muscle's function under strain. Dedication? Madness? Likely both. Yet, eventually, this very research advanced modern understanding of ligament and tendon repairs. Now, let's take a detour to something we haven't mentioned yet. John Hunter's museum. Yes, along with being one of the greatest anatomists and surgeons of his time, he was also a collector. His home became a veritable cabinet of curiosities. Thousands of specimens, human and otherwise, lined the walls, as if the secrets of life itself were contained within. Want a closer look at the consequences of widespread disease, or how shark teeth inspired surgical tools? Hunter had it all. But work this cutting edge didn't stay secret for long. As Hunter rose to prominence, so did debates around the morality of his methods. Public opinion wavered. Was he a genius or a ghoul? Here lies perhaps the most poignant irony of all. John Hunter, the man who explored the boundaries of human life, would fall victim to the limits of medicine in his time. At 65, he collapsed and died, likely of a cardiac event spurred on by stress. The very systems he spent his life dissecting and perfecting failed him in the end. What followed his death is a legacy few in medicine can match. The Hunterian Museum, named in his honor, exists to this day, showcasing his life's work. Most notably, his push for anatomical research directly led to much-needed reforms in medical education. Without pioneers like him, illegal though some of their methods may have been, it's fair to say many lives today would look radically different. Now imagine, you visit your doctor. There's a tool they use, a procedure they recommend, a study they reference. Trace it back far enough, chances are it connects to something John Hunter risked his career, reputation, and even his freedom to uncover. Like him or not, medicine owes much to his audacity. So the next time you walk into a hospital, remember, every time a scalpel cuts precisely into flesh, every time an organ is transplanted, every time a life is saved through surgery, the spirit of that grave-robbing Scotsman lingers in the walls of operating rooms worldwide. Maybe, just maybe, it was worth it.